watching Roll for Crit here at PhD's Speed Gaming event in Dallas, Texas. We are joined right now by Dan from Asmodee, a small company that you may have heard of. And he has gone through the trouble of setting up this beautiful display of Runewars. Talk to us a little bit about this game and what's going on here.
So this is Runewars. It is a miniatures game that is coming out tomorrow, actually. So the street date for it is tomorrow. So you should be able to find it in your stores. It is a rank and file styles miniatures game. As you can see here, the units are organized into certain trays, which is going to indicate a point value. Why it's cool that we have these trays is that's going to dictate both the damage and how you can modify your dice after the fact. So if we're in a skirmish and I have these Deccan spearmen, the wider that I build them, I'm going to be able to deal more consistent damage. Each damage roll that I come up with is going to deal an extra damage for each unit wide I have. For each unit deep, that is going to let me re-roll some of my dice. So it kind of depends if you want more or heavier hitting damage or if you want more consistent damage with re-rolls.
So you can physically see what you're up against.
Exactly. You'll mostly know what's coming. The only hidden information is going to be on these command dials. So the cool thing about Runewars is that it features these very nice command dials that are two-sided. On one side, you have a maneuver side where you can dictate what you're going to do. That be a basic movement forward. It could be a lateral shift. It could let you rotate your units into a different direction. Or you could select an attack. On the right side, you're going to have different ways to modify that. So if I selected a blue movement straight forward for 3 distance, but I also wanted to bank that turn to the right, I could select the turn there, and you see it says a -1, so that 3 forward is actually become a 2 bank.
Okay.
And so if you're familiar with other movement templates, it's very easy. I would select this movement, and now I'm doing a 2 bank, and I can either move it to this outer edge or the other outer edge, and it's going to allow me to simply take my whole tray here. Let's say these were a little further back. I'm not good at judging the distance, so I'm pretty terrible.
This table is not up to standard.
No. And then you'd be able to move to the end of that template there, and that's going to be where you're positioned. So you take turns activating your units, but everyone is setting their commands at the same time. So this first phase, the command phase, you have the Deccan Empire over here, and the Ycar Reanimates over here. Both players are setting all of their dials and setting them in front of their units, so that once they are ready to go, you can simply reveal your units based on the initiative. So the white number next to the movement that you selected is going to decide who goes first. If there is a tie in that number, there is this first player token that's going to be passed throughout the rounds. The game goes through up to 8 rounds.
Okay.
And depending on who the first player is for that round would break those sorts of ties.
Got it.
One of the other nice things about it is how easy the combat is. So let's say we have our reanimate soldiers here against these Deccan horsemen. If they were to ever collide on the battlefield, you would simply square them up. So you square up and then can lock their trays or just set them like this, and now they are engaged in combat. So whenever combat rolls come up, you are going to roll the dice that are displayed on their cards. So like my reanimate soldiers here have 2 red dice on the bottom. So you'll be able to know exactly what you're rolling for their attack.
Ooh, good roll.
Good roll. And since they are 2 wide as well, that's actually going to count as 4 hits per tray, per each tray that is wide. We also have a defense value for the units, though. So for these horsemen, they're a little beefier. So you see they have that 2 shield. That means I need 2 attack rolls just to deal them 1 damage. If I just dealt them this 1 damage, it would be nothing. They shut that off. How units take damage is you would start at the back, and I would, for every damage I take, for instance, with these reanimate soldiers, I would just remove 1 from the tray, or remove 2, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I'd remove them from the tray. Once a full tray has been removed, you would actually just take out that tray. That tray is now removed from the game. But of course, the cool thing about the reanimates is upon upon certain conditions, they can, of course, reanimate, and you can bring them back into the field. You also have siege units, which are a lot bigger. So you can see this Carrion Lancer here. It's a lot bigger and scarier. And you also have the Rune Golem, which is going to take a lot to take down. He has 4 defense there. So you're going to have to field 4 hits just to deal him 1 damage. So that's a total of 8 hit dice just to take him down.
So I assume there's some kind of a point system as to how you choose which units you get on your side?
There are, and it's actually pretty easy because it's right on the card here. So you can see the Carrion Lancers. One comes in the core set, but if you wanted to field 2 side by side, it would cost you 27 points versus the 15 that it costs just to field 1. If you wanted to field a 2x2 grid, it'd be 46 points, and it just exponentially grows from there.
This is all in the core?
Everything you see here is in the core, along with maneuver templates, some terrain.
So you're pretty much good to go for a battle set up with the 2 armies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So the core set retails at $99.95 MSRP. It's a lot of miniatures.
I mean,
price.
look at this.
You get a lot. You also get a deck of cards here. So while units are being dealt damage, or they are disengaging with enemies, or they try to go in for a charge but totally whiff, they're going to be taking these panic tokens. So you would set these panic tokens next to their tray. And then your enemy can actually spend those panic tokens from your side of the army in order to make you take one of these bad cards. So it could be something as simple as, disarray, confusion, you receive a stun token, and that's going to affect how you can activate next round. So this deck is, of course, shuffled, and you would reveal a couple each time that you're trying to do something bad to your enemy to make them pay for all the panic tokens that they've accrued throughout the game.
Now, I know you said there's the siege guys, and we've got our troops here, but it looks like there's these 2 main heroes.
Yeah, there are also bigger hero units that you can field. You can still field more per side, but they cannot interlock with trays unless a different card or ability lets you do that. You can also upgrade your army with cards, individual upgrade cards that will give you special abilities at a point cost, of course.
And these are meant to be standalone battles, or is there a campaign involved in any of this?
So just with the core set, you would just play through some standalone battles, but we're actually supporting the game with a lot of organized play. So
nice.
On launch, this game is going to launch with what we call Runewars Launch Kit, and that's going to give players more of an extended way to play the game battle after battle and be able to earn themselves some cool alternate artwork cards and full bleed artwork cards.
Nice, yeah, that's always a plus, because definitely when you have such amazing artwork like this, the cards can really shine.
Yeah, it's a good way to show off that, I've been with Runewars since it launched, and here's all my
It's also
cool
fun
stuff.
if you're playing it in a tournament scene or if at the game shop, then you see that one guy put the nice printed card, you're like,
oh no, he knows what he's doing.
And I imagine expansions are going to follow.
Yes, so we've already announced different ways to expand both the Dakan army and the Waikar reanimates. So you can buy individual packs of more Carrion Lancers, more reanimate knights, as well as other expert units as well. So there are already ways to expand these 2 factions. We also just announced earlier this week that the Latari Elves will be coming very soon as well. We've also announced an Essentials Kit, which is all the cards, maneuver templates, and things like that comes in a single box. So if you're the type of player that says, I'm an Elves player and I only want to play Elves, even though it's not in the core set, I can pick up my Elf faction and I can buy the Essentials Kit. So I have everything I need to play.
Right, some of your other ones, in the Star Wars, I know you can buy extra maneuver tiles or dice, so that's always helpful.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to buy the accessories you want and be able to jump on at any point.
Now, I know you've been saying the teams. I'm just curious, if I chose one guy on the team, can I only field from this faction, or can the factions actually mix at all?
As of now, you would just choose a faction and stick with that faction. However, there are a lot of different options in how you want to do that, depending on where your points are displaced.
Okay.
So if you want to field just a bunch of spearmen, go for it.
We've seen plenty of these kinds of games when sometimes someone comes up with a weird strategy of just either 2 of the same big units or just hordes of a lot of small ones.
Yeah, no, it's my goal to put as many Rune Golems on the field as the board can contain. Yeah,
You brought up
impressive.
Star Wars. With your other miniatures games, I'm just wondering, in general, how would you say this compares in terms of the feel of the style of the play? Like, if you like those games, would you jump right into this, or maybe a little different?
Yeah, so if you enjoy other Fantasy Flight games and are very familiar with things like a maneuver template and movement templates and things like that, I think you'll be very familiar with how this plays. So it is very accessible. It kind of captures some of those people who maybe love the idea of miniatures games but have always been a little afraid to jump in. I think this is a good jumping on point. The figures are very easy to assemble, easy to slot into their trays. You can get up and playing in about 30-40 minutes from unboxing the core set. It's also very easy to just build an army based on points. Everything's very readily laid out. The maneuver dial makes sense for players who are familiar with other, board games of ours.
And I brought this up, but this game does take place in a world that you already have other games established. So if you haven't really entered the miniatures game but played some of those, you might get that sort of same feel, which it makes it a little bit easier to recognize some things.
Yeah, it takes place in our Terranoth universe. So if you've enjoyed Descent 2nd Edition, if you've enjoyed Runebound, or even the Runewars board game, there are a lot of lore bits that you'll enjoy. Actually, the core set comes with a full lore book on top of the Learn to Play guide and the rules reference guide. So anyone who's interested in the lore, or is just a fan of fantasy, I think you'll enjoy getting
So
into
not only
it.
do you have the Rune Golem, you know why the Rune Golem.
Yes.
I know. I was a necromancer in Descent. I love the little reanimate guy.
Oh, yeah.
That gets me excited.
An artist here deals some gross amount of damage. And he looks pretty intimidating.
I mean, with those
his
twin axes, he looks like he's about to just go ham.
Yeah, and his crown of bone on his head is pretty great.
So, Rune Wars, this should be available now when you're watching this video.
Yeah, it hits stores tomorrow. So, if you're able to go into your store, they, you should be able to ask about it and pick it up.
Yeah, and also ask about, you said the tournament or OP kits.
And we've already announced that we're doing a Q3 challenge kit. So we do our organized play quarterly kits. So Q3 will be the first time that we see challenge kits for players to pick up and play in that sort of a setting. But before that, we do have the launch kit that you can play in your store as well.
Yeah, so a lot of awesome things here are already here and plenty are planned. So check it out. The game's already out as of this recording. But this has been Roll for Crit.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.